Hello, 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 hello. As I'm going through, I'm like, I'm going to add one more color. Let me add this one. I had finished adding colors. I'm Lynn Browder, and I have a son, Owen, who is 13 and has autism. We paint together, working on his fine motor skills. He helps me paint the backgrounds of our paintings, and then I paint the rest. We usually do, or have been doing, a hand-over-hand method. But now, as he is getting older, he is starting to do more of the backgrounds on his own. And he doesn't flatten them out, but he kind of does the circular motions. And so then we go back and kind of work on that. But he's come so far with it, and he's starting to do some what we call scribble art, because he's wanting to scribble his name. And I tell him that we don't want to, well, this is always the interesting part, because my handwriting is atrocious. But, I'm trying to get him to write so that he can, write his name. Because usually his, O is, this big, and then, it takes up, that much space. Which, again, he's still learning to do it, but he would prefer to scribble. And, I get it. I get it completely. Because, like I was starting to say, my handwriting is not good. But when I try to explain to him that when we're writing our name, is generally so others can know us, or know that something belongs to us, or that we're signing something. And so I'm just trying to get him to understand that there's other reasons that we want to not scribble our name or our writing. And again, I say that with knowing that my writing is not exactly the best. But if I have, I can make it so others can read it. And that's the point, is I tell him that the reason we write so that others can see our name or our words is because we're telling our story in those moments, and we need to be able to. But I want him to understand that he can most definitely scribble anything he wants. He can make any kind of scribble art, scribble animals, scribble, and when it's not for something, he can even work on scribble letters and things like that. So I just don't want him to, think his art, his vision, his something doesn't matter. But I definitely want him to completely understand the difference between words art, so that he just is able to express what he needs to express in the moments he needs to express them. Because, excuse me, I definitely think there is absolutely nothing wrong with projecting your name, your vision, your, words in any way, shape, or form, through art, through different mediums, through whatever there is. But there is a difference. So just the thoughts on how to teach him creativity and his own art style, his own decisions on whether he even wants to do art. I give him the tools, the different, sitting just on this bench alone, there are numerous, these are safety kid scissors with different designs and different things. And we have colored pencils, we have colored crayons, we have markers, we have, we have the craft supplies, we have the different things. And that's the part that I just want to make sure he gets, that he can create any type of art that he wants to create. He just has to decide what his vision is and what he wants to do. So that's the part that's important to me, is sharing the difference. And I know, like, right now he's still like learning about that and kind of grasping it in a big sense. But that's still important as well, to be able to work on that and know. I'm looking at my colors and trying to decide what I'm doing here. What he wants to do. So I hope that makes sense. I hope what I'm saying is making some kind of sense. I'm tired. It's been a long day. He's had a good day, but some days are just long no matter what you're doing. And today was one of those days that I've not been feeling my best. I'm going through breast cancer treatments, and I have another infusion tomorrow, and I'm really wishing that it was over. Oh, excuse me. I've got, that is the one thing. Oh my, the the infusions kind of make my stomach. Even though it's been 3 weeks, this one's kind of hit me randomly hard. So I'm kind of struggling a little bit with it. So tomorrow is another one, and I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. No part of me is really ready. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Oops. I didn't want to have as much blah. You'll notice a lot of times I use the same brush without cleaning it off when I do a lot of this, and I am going to bring this one out in just a moment here, but I do that because I like having how like you may not be able to see, but there's like the reddish colors in there, and I like how that kind of, it just adds an extra little detail in the stacking of the colors and everything. So and if I'm not making any sense, it's because I'm tired. I think I stated that, but It's just one of those days. He did really good today at school, and then he had his music therapy and vision therapy and everything. So, you know, he had a pretty busy day, and for him to be able to still go through everything, it was good. It's just some days, like I said, are a little more, a little more everything. A little more emotional, a little more. And, you know, and that's another thing we were working on is his emotions versus my emotions. And just because I'm showing emotions doesn't mean he has to be mad or sad about my emotions. Like, I can have an emotion without him being in that emotion or dealing with my emotions. And that's extremely hard for him. That's really, you know, very, I almost used the word awkward, but I don't know that that really is the right word. I stumble sometimes over words, and I think part of it is, honestly, so many people judge by one word or one video or one blog that I've made or one something. And, you know, it's to the point where there's things that, like, you just, you know, we all say the wrong words, or we all can't explain how something is happening or doing or being or whatever it is. And I don't want that to ever stumble me, in the sense of, like, keeping me from sharing our story to help the person that it's supposed to help. Because, you know, I share my struggles, I share the things that I go through, not so you can say, you know, feel sorry for me, or woe is me, or woe is my child, or this, that, and the other, but because there's somebody else at home right now, like, that has really had a bad day, and it's hard, it's emotional, and I just don't want other people to feel so alone. And that's the big thing for me, is making sure that others get that they are not alone in their struggles. They are not alone in their emotions. They are not alone in what their day means to them, or how they're handling something with their family. So I just don't want that to, like, people's words or people's actions to ever keep me from sharing our journey. But yet, a lot of times, or sometimes, I stumble over my words because I have had people say, you know, one of my favorite things, not favorite, but one of my favorite things that people say is, I shouldn't be making my son do art. I shouldn't be making him help me with the backgrounds. I shouldn't be making him do his things, his decisions of art. And I kind of, like, I laugh at that almost, because how else do we learn if we like or dislike something if we don't do it or try it or experience it? Now, I'm not saying that he should learn how to ride a motorcycle at this point in his life when he can barely ride a bicycle. But I'm saying if he wants to learn to ride a motorcycle, he's got to learn to ride a bicycle per se. I mean, he's got to be able to have balance, and he's got to be able to have, these things. And how is he going to know whether art is something that he wants to do if he doesn't get to do it? And then there's the other part of this, that it's because he needs to learn how to use his hands. I mean, he would much prefer to use his hands to pick up food and eat food than to use a spoon or a fork, or he still doesn't know how to, really cut meat or something like that, so teaching him this, that's like what we do. We put crayons in our kids' hands. We put utensils in our kids' hands. We teach them things so that they can grow to be adults and bigger people and. So when somebody tells me I shouldn't make him help me with the backgrounds, we are making art together. We are working together to do something to better our lives. So that is one of the things that always gets me when someone says we shouldn't be doing something. It's interesting to me. But, we all have our interestings. So now I'll get off my soapbox. And I left my windows open earlier today, and that was a big old bug. I will have to not do that. Okay, so we sign O for Owen, and then L and B. There we go. Thanks so much for watching and being a part of our day. Toodles, toodles.